All right, folks. Welcome to the Taking the Lid Off podcast. We've got a special edition today. I've got three folks with me that are a blast from the past. I've got three of my former squad members, and we're going to see how this thing goes today. Really don't have a lot of notes to go by today. We're going to wing it a little bit, but we'll see what happens. We're going to talk about we had a good time together as a team. I felt like we were a good team. We had a couple deployments together to Afghanistan and to Iraq, and so we're gonna go over some of those times and talk about some of the good times, some of the challenging times, and see where it goes. But first, let's get a little brief intro. And Bubba, let's start off with you, man. Tell us a little bit about you and where you're at now.
Uh, yeah, I'm in Florida, running the range at Machine Gun America in Orlando or Kissimmee. Been doing that for the last 5 years, and yeah, that's about it, man. Got a kid, wife now, a stepson, and yeah, not much else going on.
You're still alive, which is a success.
Yeah, still alive, I guess.
Weren't sure
Yeah.
if you were gonna make it there at some point. We
Yeah.
we can talk about the Kandahar runs here shortly.
God, I fucking hate that place.
But
Smell that.
So Scott, Scott, give us a little bit about you.
All right. Well, I run a place called Machine Guns Vegas out in Las Vegas, Nevada. I used to work with Dave out at Machine Gun America in Orlando, and then I kind of just been sort of like building and growing in this whole machine gun tourist industry, and just kind of bouncing all over the country.
Gotcha. So Dave is Bubba. I typically call him Bubba. Where did Bubba even come from, Dave?
What was it? I can't remember. He was in E5 in first or third squad, right when he came back from Sinai. He's
Yeah.
a little short dude. I can't remember his name. He's the one that started it.
Oh, yeah,
You couldn't say my,
yeah,
so he just went with Bubba.
yeah. So to back up real quick, we were all in First Squad, Bravo Company, Second Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 82nd Airborne Division, which is a mouthful, but that's kind of how we all know each other and was our time together. And then last but not least, Mr. Chris Heinlein, we used to call him Mo. He's our resident rock star. So tell us a little bit about you, Mo.
Well, I got to first say, Bubba and Scott, when I come to either one of those cities, I expect some free ammo and some free range time. Because you know what? You're manager. You can give me that, right?
Oh man, go on, man.
All right. So anyways, yeah, I left the Army and started doing little things. But I basically play in a traveling band right now. I'm a professional musician. Always looking for free stuff. And, basically, I was the guy that grew my hair long out and proud to be in the Brad Pitt squad. And I don't shave or, shower regularly or sleep regularly or eat regularly. But, in a nutshell, the only thing that's changed about me is, I don't know, play more guitar now, I guess. I don't know.
So Chris is a phenomenal guitar player, and I would say when we were together in our deployments and stuff, you were what, mid-30s back then?
Yeah.
Which of course we thought was old because we were like mid-20s at best,
Yeah.
And so Chris was like our experienced guy, and he was kind of our entertainment, not just the fact that he played guitar like a madman, but he had all these 80s rocker stories that were pretty epic. Many of which we'll not repeat here, but we'll just say that they were epic.
I got Chad Ray. I got so many more now. I can't tell you.
Oh
Maybe
man,
over a beer. In
yeah,
Tennessee.
absolutely. And that's kind of, we thought you might have been making another story tonight, is why it took so long to get you on.
I wish it was something that good. No.
All right, so really, we were together. It would have been 2002 ish, into 2003, and then 2004, if I remember right, and that was our Afghanistan deployment and our Iraq deployment. But so we had a good team dynamic. Would everybody agree that I think we had a really good team together?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so I was thinking about it earlier, and I can't really put my finger on what exactly it was. I don't know if it's just because you've got different personalities. You've got our 80s rocker guy. You've got I was kind of the leader. You've got Bubba, and so Dave, you came to us because of a PT thing, right?
Yeah. I cracked my pelvis on a jump or something, and then I failed the test like right after I came off profile, and they sent me to you.
Yeah. So I was a guy that if you had people who struggled with PT a little bit, they would try to send them to me to fix for whatever reason.
Was Bubba in Weapons Squad when I first got there? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I remember that. You were 240 or 240 gunner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Bubba was a gunner.
I've been there for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, but I don't really remember. You know, you fit right in. We had such a fun time.
Yeah.
But really, I don't know that we necessarily got you in shape. We just got you back in shape, I think.
Yeah.
And you fit right. I mean, everybody. We just had such a good personality, and kind of the reason I want to talk about it is because we had a dynamic that we all went out together, right?
Yeah.
So we had a lot of good times together, right? And there's in the leadership realm, there's this whole thing about, you know, especially in the military, you know, leaders not going out and compromising themselves or whatever, drinking with their guys. But you all, I mean, I was lucky and blessed in the fact that we could go drinking on Saturday night or whatever, hang out, and then Monday morning it was back to business time. You know, but I also wasn't the kind of leader that was necessarily barking orders and stuff. I don't think. So we just had
probably not have been possible without your personality, Chad Ray, because you have that Tennessee easiness to you. I guess that's what you'd call it. You're pretty laid back, but
Yeah.
I mean, you were a dick when you had to be a dick. I understand that.
Yeah.
And we all knew that, but you were like, "Hey, man, don't be a dick, and I won't be a dick," kind of mentality, and that's what made it successful because you were easy to work for because you were easy to get along with, and you just wanted shit right, and so we did it for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and I think, and that's something I always tried to be, was like I wanted you to know that, or you all to know that I was never gonna do anything I didn't have to, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I wasn't gonna make you do stupid stuff that it wasn't coming from above me. You know, and there's such a thing as leadership capital, I believe, you know, where you get your guys to trust you and you take care of your guys. And every now and then they understand that some stuff is just going to suck and it's kind of out of our control. And I think you all were really good at understanding that. So we did. We had some good times. I think what was the name of that motel up by Raleigh we used to go pregame at?
It was like a Hampton Inn or something like that.
It was
something.
Something
like that. Yeah.
It was something, but I just remember that hotel. It was up like 401 or Highway 401 or something like that.
Yeah, it was right up that highway. It was like right there.
Yeah. On a weekend, we would just show up there, and whoever showed up at a certain time, you know, we would call a cab and get a cab into downtown Raleigh, and it was on from there.
Stool Pigeon. Remember all the places we used to go to?
Yeah. Yeah, there was. Yeah.
And
there were good times had by all. But yeah, that was an interesting dynamic too. So we had fun together and we had good personalities, but we also, when it came down to business and actually doing our job, I think it's pretty fair to say that we were the best squad in the platoon. And as evidenced by how we got treated in Afghanistan, right?
By having to walk up mountains that no one else had to go do.
Well, I mean, we had, you know, one of the things, would like our squad basically, especially for train up, went through like a lot of adversity. I mean, especially when you talk about the green incident, and I think that really, I think us having to go through that prior to any deployments, I think that was like a huge thing that just like kind of like galvanized us all. Where we're like, it was definitely like a oh shit moment, and it was one of those things where it's like, you know, I don't know, like I think I don't, no one else had to go through something like that, so
Yeah.
I don't know, that or all around made us stronger.
Yeah. So the green incident he's talking about for the listeners was an incident where we had a new soldier, a pretty new soldier, and he got shot on the range. We were doing for those that understand infantry tactics, we were doing a battlefield 1 Alpha range, and the guy just, I mean, and I'm not speaking negatively of him at all. He's a great guy, good soldier, but there was a mistake that was made, and he got up and he bounded when he shouldn't have, and he ended up taking a bullet to his back, and so we had to treat him and evac him off the range that night by helicopter and everything, and it was a huge incident. And so it wasn't just I think, correct me, Scott, if I'm wrong here, but I think what you're talking about, what brought us together, was not just the fact that we had the guy get shot. It was also what took place afterwards with that investigation and everything, where we had this major from one of the other brigades was the investigating officer, and he was just looking for somebody to blame, and so that was a little rough as well. Am I right on that?
Yeah, no, I think that was the case, and I mean, obviously, when something happens like that, they're just looking for someone to point the finger and say whose fault it was, and I'm sure I don't know exactly because they at one point they brought us into like that room and they were like interviewing each of us individually, and I know like for me, when they were asking, like they actually asked the question, whose fault was it, and like me, I said it's mine, because like we had we were pretty small. We were bringing this guy on board and everything, and trying to get him up to speed and everything. But as like kind of like as positions go or whatever, I was sort of like, I guess, kind of the senior E4 that was there, and I was running the saw and everything. And it's like, it's. I told him, I was like, look, I was the senior man on there besides the team leader, so I should have looked. It wasn't a thing where we were like, oh well, we're being pushed too hard, or there was a leadership failure or everything like that. I think pretty much we're all just like, basically we each individually took ownership of it, and that's that was basically not the answer they were looking for. They probably wanted us to point the finger at you or LT at the time,
Yeah.
or the platoon sergeant at the time. And when it's like, when we all just took like individual responsibility for it, I think it kind of threw them, but again, it made us stronger in the end.
Yeah, it was definitely rough because they were looking for somebody to blame, and that was a little tough. And I took full ownership as well. Me being the squad leader, I mean, obviously it fell on my shoulders, and I took full responsibility. But that guy, and just to kind of cap it off, the major that was doing the investigation, he ended up getting kicked out of the hospital trying to interview the guy that got shot while he was still like sedated and stuff. It basically got shut down because the guy was kind of a d-bag, for lack of a better term. And then the Fort Rucker safety team came in, and they were really cool. They were professional, and they ended up concluding their investigation just saying, hey, the individual made a mistake. No one was really to blame here. It's what we do. We train for war, and accidents happen. It's part of what we do, right? But yeah, so but you're right. We had a cohesiveness there, and everybody kind of had the same message. So that brings me to something else. It made me think of the water incident.
Is that where we were in Afghanistan? And they said, "Who thinks these water drills are these drinking water mandatory is stupid?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And no one in first squad raised their hand, right?
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. So So that one, I'll start it. I'll let y'all finish it off. But so it was, we were doing these runs around the airfield in Afghanistan, and they were pretty tough runs. You'd get on the backside of that airfield, if you remember, and that wind would just be blowing in your face. It was hard to breathe and run. I mean, they were pretty brutal runs. And we just took off and did one day, and we had some people in the platoon. We do these as a platoon, by the way, and we had some people in the platoon complain, saying, well, if we'd known we were going to be doing this, we'd have been hydrated properly or whatever, which is a BS answer, because you're in a combat zone. You should be staying hydrated and all that kind of stuff. And so we ended up having these formations. What was it, hourly, I think, to drink water?
Yeah, it was something
I
stupid.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
All I remember was mandatory formations, and we had to drink water, and which was not a problem because you're in the flipping desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evidently, it was a problem for some people. I think somebody just made an excuse for falling out, and so the platoon sergeant at the time said, "Okay, well then, if that's the problem, then we'll just have formations and we'll drink water." And the question was posed by the platoon sergeant. Said, do you all think this is stupid, or something to that effect, right? Was that the question?
I think he said,
Yeah.
"Who thinks these mandatory water formations are stupid?" Something like that.
Yeah.
Raise your hand, and nobody in first squad raised their hand at all.
Yeah, which was awesome, man. I just looked down at you guys, and I actually turned around to look, and I saw guys in the other squads raising their hands, and then I saw that nobody in first squad had raised their hand, because we understood why we were doing them. And I was just like, yes, my men are trained.
That's probably a reflection of your leadership skills, Chad Ray.
Well, I think I was just lucky because you all were good soldiers as well. That was part of it, man, because we trained hard. I mean, like, I don't know if you all remember, but I've told this story. Do you all remember before we would go to chow, we would spend, I kind of mandated, we would just spend at least 10 minutes out there and do like some ready up drills or mag changes or something like that. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
CQB.
Yeah.
Now, and I won't say his name, but do you remember the second squad leader coming out there? I don't know if y'all remember. I don't know if y'all even heard it, but he came out there and kind of chastised me and said I was trying to showboat. Did y'all ever hear that?
I think that was it was like a hotel or something that was on Bagram there that we had just got done running through, and we were the only ones there. I think he say it after that.
Yeah, because we had taken the squad picture and stuff right in front of that blown out wall. And I remember the platoon sergeant was hanging out because he was actually in that picture with us. And that was probably part of the big reason why that squad leader, use that term loosely, said that, said that.
Yeah, he straight up accused me of showboating, and I was like, if there's ever anybody that's not a showboater, I like to feel like it's me. But yeah, we had also taken down, so in Afghanistan, there was one of those buildings there, which when I went back in 2007 was like a finance center or something, but it was a building that they were renovating and they were going to use it for offices, and it was empty. And we had Big Jim was like the base sergeant major at that time. And I asked him, could we do a little CQB in there? And he said, yeah, sure. So we were in there doing CQB, just doing some training when we had our downtime, and the platoon sergeant thought that was cool. I just thought we were doing what we should be doing because we're in a freaking combat zone.
Yeah, I remember running through that stuff and us being the only one, and we were around the whole company, around that area, and I always thought that was kind of weird. We were the only ones doing something.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak ill of those other people, but it was like, I don't know, to me, like you continually train, right? The skills, or you use it or you lose it, right? I mean, I think we all know that now, especially.
Yeah.
But on that, man, so some of those skills, man. So, man, I know there's got to be some things. So we we had a good team. We learned a lot. We had oh man, here's another thing. So this is another hilarious story I like to tell. Well, so there's a couple, but do you all remember? Speaking of that particular squad leader, that squad was in such bad shape that they wanted to change squad leaders. Do y'all remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because this was a leadership lesson that came out, and I haven't said this one on the podcast yet. But long story short, to fix that kind of the issues there, they wanted to get rid of that squad leader, which they did eventually anyway. But they wanted to move me over to his squad and move a particular team leader from that squad to take over my squad. And I'll never forget the lieutenant coming up to me, our platoon leader coming up to me and telling me that they wanted to do this. And I was like, hey, I'll do whatever you tell me to. I don't want to. I'll absolutely oppose it with every fiber of my being. I was like, but I'm not going to be the problem. The problem is going to be that my guys are going to kill you if you make this change.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah, and yeah, so that we had a loyalty and a bond that was pretty awesome, man. And dude, it was some fun times. And speaking of that bond, Brian, we had a little incident with some bottles, right? Some pee bottles.
Oh, shit. The greatest.
So let's So let's bring the listener into a little bit of what it's like to sit around with infantrymen paratroopers who have free time in Afghanistan. And so
Do you remember how this started? I was pissing in bottles because I didn't want to leave, and Bubba was getting mad. He's like, "Don't piss in the tent," and I'm like, "Dude, I don't want to get up clear out there to piss." And so one day, Anil, our medic, brought back some apple juice and mixed it down into with water in another bottle. He started taunting Bubba with it, and Brian was kind of in on the joke too.
Yeah.
And you take it from there, Scott.
So basically, we had this bottle of apple juice water that looked just like a piss bottle, and Bubba thought it was a piss bottle, and so and we knew he was really irritated by these piss bottles everywhere, and then so it turned into basically the rest of the squad mates like laying down money for me to drink the piss, which we all knew was apple juice except Bubba. And so
Johnny didn't know either.
Yeah, Johnny
didn't know.
Johnny didn't know either. Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
He didn't know it.
So anyway, I went ahead and started gagging down the apple juice, trying to do my best my best acting job I could. Apparently, it was good enough to make Bubba's eyes water and make him dry heave a little bit.
Bubba shot out of the tent to go dry heave.
Yeah.
And Johnny was not far behind.
God,
it was pretty epic. It was very well played.
Yeah. I was a little skeptical that it was actual piss ball at first, and then the whole dry heaving you were doing as you were choking it down was what's going. I was like, "Fuck, really drinking piss."
Scott was doing an epic acting job. Neil was playing. I mean, everybody was playing into it that knew about it because we sat in the chow hall board devising this plan. And man, it turned out great. And of course, we're in these tents. We're in Afghanistan in these tents, and it's nighttime, and you can hear. I mean, they're tents. They're not insulated or anything. And so we had all these people come running over to figure out what was going on because half of our crew is dry heaving, and the other half is just laughing so hard we can't breathe.
That's pretty good.
I think I was sore the next day from laughing so hard. It was hilarious.
Oh.
But that's the kind of stuff, though, that takes place on the deployment that you tell your civilian friends sometimes afterwards, and they just kind of stare at you. Like,
I've told that story, and I definitely have gotten just like, yeah, cool story, bro.
Yeah, yeah, and that's probably what's going to happen with some people on this podcast. But the vets that know that have been there, they're going to know that, yeah, that was probably a pretty epic deal. That's the kind of stuff that takes place on a deployment, man, and the bond, dude, it's freaking awesome, and that's some of the. If there's anything I miss about the military, it's some of those times, like that we had. The shooting and everything is all fun, but some of that stuff is freaking priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like those are actually, the funner stories. Like, I mean, usually, unless it's someone, like when me and Bubba used to work together out in Florida, of course, we talk about the old times a little bit more, but I mean, I'm not really big in talking to war stories, but when I do, it's dumb stuff like that, or I'll tell them about like how we rode in that jingle truck down that little valley, and then like a half hour later, a flash flood came and washed away all the gators and a bunch of equipment and everything like that. Or the time when on that same mission, when you got 3 platoons out there, but you only send 2 Chinooks, and then there we were, just like sitting around on the side of the hill, like, hey, are we going to get a ride too? And then we got Rungy and the platoon sergeant trying to like use some comma wire to build a stronger antenna to try and get a signal out that we need another helicopter, and we're just like, well, all right, I guess we're just going to hang out for a while.
Yeah, yeah, that was actually me, because I was there in charge, and for whatever reason, I can't remember why, but I was the one getting on the helicopter, and I was getting on the back of this Chinook, telling those guys as they're about to take off, hey, there's not another aircraft. I've still got my platoon out here. We need to get somewhere. And they took off, and it was really us just sitting there not knowing, like, crap, hopefully they send somebody to get us. Like, otherwise, we're going to be humping this thing for quite a ways. But, luckily they did send somebody to get us. So speaking of, you mentioned Valley, too. And getting back to the cohesiveness of the team we had, everybody, do y'all remember we had that OP that was way up there in the clouds, and the clouds are below us? And then
is that where we built the makeshift log cabin out of the poles we found up there?
Yeah, we found these big poles from where they had been logging up there or something, and we built a little mini cabin to put our ponchos over to cover us up.
Because it was windy. Remember, it's really windy.
Yeah, it was really windy because I think we were like 7,000 feet or something. It was pretty high up.
It was up there.
And so we walked down this thing, and we come into the Valley of Marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was marijuana everywhere in this valley. And we walk across it, and we're going to set at another patrol base for the evening. And we decide to go up this little ridge line. So do y'all remember the walk up on that ridge line to where we were going to patrol base?
Oh, yeah. I think I have a picture of it somewhere.
Yeah, I think I do too, somewhere.
Yeah, us up there just looking dead.
Yeah.
But then the platoon was at the bottom of it still.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So obviously, like I said, I was known for taking guys and making them more in physical shape, or whatever you want to say. And our squad was in really good physical shape, not just because of me pushing them, but because they were willing to be pushed, and they were all hard chargers. And I mean, there was times, and this is just one example of many, but we go to walk up to the top of this ridge line to set in a patrol base, and I mean, I didn't realize how far we left everybody behind. Like our squad basically left the rest of the platoon because we headed up, and it was pretty steep, and the elevation was up there a little bit, and next thing you know, we're up there and turning around, waiting on everybody else, and we actually dropped if I remember correctly, let me know if I'm wrong here, but we dropped our packs and were helping people get up the hill, weren't we?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think stuff like that, man, when you can look around at the team of guys you're with and see that kind of stuff, I mean, how can you not have more trust and confidence in each other? And I think that's, I don't know, man, how, to translate that to the civilian world, I really don't know how you can, honestly. You can pipe up if y'all have any thoughts on that, but, how does that even translate? How do you get those kinds of team building experiences in the civilian world?
Can't be done, Chad Ray, and I'll tell you why. Every job I've had since I've left the Army, people suck. Period. You know what I'm saying? You just you go to a job and they're like, they know you that you're like, because you're like, what the hell is going on here? Why ain't anybody doing anything? And they're like, we get paid by the hour, and I'm like, yeah, but you're just supposed to do what you're supposed to do. And I ran into Dan Marassi, and I went to visit Big Jim in North Carolina last March, about a year ago, and I ran into Dan Marassi. Remember, he was the S6 down there. Yeah. Anyway, he had a job at a hospital, and I was telling him I was having the same problem he was having, that nobody does anything. He was like, let me tell you something, bro. You give like a quarter effort compared to what you did in the Army, and you're still 20 times better than any civilian that works there. And I took that to heart, because I'm like, he's absolutely right. Work ethic system or something. I don't know. I don't know if you're working on what you're doing, Chad Ray. I know you're retired, but people just don't give a shit.
Yeah. I honestly, I work with a lot of former vets, and honestly, I find the same thing with a lot of them too, man. Not all of them, but some of them. But yeah, man, hard work is something that seems to be lacking in putting in that work, and then just the team cohesiveness, and taking care of each other. I think we lose that somehow. I don't. Maybe we're just unique, but I don't know. Scott, David, y'all got thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's like what he's saying. Like, it's real hard, and it's not. I don't know if it's the people you work with, but a lot of the times the people that are above you, you come to expect that certain amount of leadership, and it's just not there. And I think that has a lot to do with it too. I know, like Scott knows what I'm talking about with where I'm at now, and it's hard.
Yeah, I think leadership is an issue in the civilian community, and that's kind of part of what I'm doing, is trying to get out there. I want to get out there and talk more about leadership, and because I don't think civilians understand the depth. I always say the depth of military leadership. They don't, the times I've given leadership talks, I'll say, hey, how many of you have kids that you work with? And that's kind of what it's like. Like, because even you all were mature and weren't issues, but as a leader in the infantry, I have to go and I have to make sure that my guys have their rooms straight. If you live in the barracks, I got to make sure your room is straight and all, which is what you do with your kids. And then you go from that extreme all the way to the extreme of, I also have to teach you to shoot, move, and communicate and survive on a battlefield. So there's just a lot to it, man. There's a whole lot to it. And I don't think civilians understand that. And that's something that I think that the military folks could really benefit in sharing with civilians and showing them that leadership. But what all? So is there anything? So speaking of that, and whoever wants to speak up, but anything that you all have carried over from your military experience that has helped you out in your civilian life, anything?
Honestly, one of the hardest things I ever had to do, like three things. The merit that for whatever reason, I don't know, when the green incident happened and I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. Just getting through that, like how I felt so isolated from everybody, and how they treated me like a convict and everything, they just the ability to like suck it up and drive on. I hate to say that term, but I'm going to use it tonight. Just the ability to just keep going no matter how down you are. Because I know a lot of us suffer from depression when we leave the military because we're not around our friends anymore, and you don't make friends in the real world like you do in the military because again, people just aren't the same. You're not in the same circumstances. I jumped one night and it's like 10 degrees outside and you suck it up, and the next week you're laughing about it. And just the resiliency to keep going when times are just like so shit. One thing I always appreciated about having you as a leader and as a friend, and just being able to, an equal peer to, I could look over and see you and Bubba and Scott sucking just as much as I was, and go, well, shit, if they can do it, I can do it. Kind of that mentality. You just don't get that out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one does anything out in the civilian world unless they get paid, and the work ethic is shit. And I have the ability to not eat and not sleep for long periods of time. That's my 3 things I take from the military.
Yeah. What about you, David? Anything?
Yeah, I think it's just the driving on. I think one of the things now is when I don't know if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing sometimes, but when you see something that isn't right, and you got to try to do what you can to fix it, even though it's not in your place to fix it. That's one of the things that I deal with now. That's pretty tough, because there's shit out of my power, and you're just like, oh, I got it. This is wrong, and it needs to be done, but there's nothing you can do about it. But it goes back to that, like he's talking about driving on. You got to keep going anyways. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Completing the mission, I think, is what that is. You got to complete the mission no matter what. As cheesy as it may sound, I mean, I think that's really what it is. Scott, man, anything from you, man? What's carried over?
Honestly, it's probably the one thing that's helped me be successful in this business. Because it's not a big business. It's these individual small businesses and stuff. But essentially, I've more or less kind of perfected the civilian version of the LGOP. I mean, I think that's one thing that that Minnesotans don't get, and they think that they have ideas and stuff and education and everything like that. But if you're in a small business and you can perfect that small fire team and really put an emphasis on just having a few good individuals that just work like clockwork. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And I mean, that's a lot of times, I took with this place I work at now, the management was less less than successful, and it was, they had all these issues, everything that's fallen apart. And one of the things that they had a good crew, but when I showed up, they were like a bunch of abused children, and it's so the one thing that I went in and focused on was getting the range staff basically retooled, get them re-incentivized with the job and everything, because then once you have that small group of people, then that carries over. And I saw that a lot in the military. Our squad was really small, and but that squad pretty much made our platoon the best. Then our platoon basically made Bravo Company the best, and then and it just kind of worked its way up. But if you have that small core, that can just accomplish a lot more than anybody else, then you're going to be successful. I mean, I got it to where now, where this, almost like the 2 staff I had now, they wanted to ask, they were coming to me and saying well, am I going to, if I go home sick? I'm like, no, if you're sick, go home. And now they've gotten to the point where if I have to leave for the day, I have no problem just leaving them alone and letting them just run on their own. And everybody's kind of oh wow, how do you get everything retooled so quick? Because I put an emphasis on the small group of people, getting the dental gops, just running around in the open and getting their job done.
Well, I think what you're talking about there is something that is missing from the civilian leadership community a lot, I think, which is taking care of your people, and they'll take care of you. Take care of your people above all else. If your focus is on the profit and not your people, well, then I think you're probably missing the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And an example of that I can think of is, my goal was always to take care of you all. Like, leadership is a service. Being a leadership, my job is to take care of y'all. Like, it's not for y'all to take care of me, but if I take care of y'all, ultimately you're going to take care of me. The same way, if you take care of your employees, they're going to take care of you. And like I said, one example of that, I don't know if you all remember this, but we had a mission. I can't even remember what it was, but we went to this it was in Afghanistan again, and we went to this blown out village. It looked like the whole village had been bombed. I don't know what. We were there for no reason, I guess, but we ended up getting carried out of there, and so there were several people getting sick, and I started feeling bad. We were waiting on extract, and I started feeling bad, and I laid down, and I don't know what hit me, but we did our little 48-hour refit, and through that whole 48 hours, I was done. And I barely even remember we got picked up. Like I said, I laid down. I felt bad. I was in and out of it. I get on the helicopter, and we got off the helicopter back at Bagram. We're walking off the back of these Chinooks, and I barely even remember getting off the helicopter. But you guys had taken my gear off and stuff, and were carrying my gear, and it was just some kind of Afghani crud, I guess. But do y'all remember that?
Was that bad water we got, or what was that?
I don't know what it was, man, but it was just something for like 48 hours, man. I was just out of it. I can't remember what that mission was, man, but I do remember I was down because we went back, we had our refit. Doc hooked me up with some IVs, and I barely made it to the chow hall like once, I think, and then we loaded back up and went right back after it. But I just remember, I can barely remember getting off the helicopter, and I remember you guys were carrying my gear because I was just, I don't know what it was. It's something in the old Afghani system there got me.
Coronavirus. You're patient zero.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, I think we can all, if we were placing bets right now, I think we'd all say that Chris is going to be the first one to get the coronavirus since he's traveling.
I may have it now. I don't know. Back in the old days, they just called it HIV. I don't know what they're calling it now.
Nice. Actually, if any of us are immune to it, it's probably Mo because of all he's, we'll say, been through.
I was going to say it was all the liquor I drank and all the. Well, I'm not going to talk bad. It's a family show, but you know what I'm saying.
I think we've gone past family show. But all right, guys. So we're sitting towards 45 minutes. So, man, I mean, it's one of those things where I could sit and talk with you all forever, and it would be even better if we were all together having a beer. One day, man. One day we'll make that happen. And we'll have to record that too, or maybe not. But, but so Mo, tell us about your band and your touring now.
Yeah, I'm in a band called the Midnight Devils. We're touring with a London band called the Choir Boys. They were huge. They're like big in the '80s, and they had a couple hits. And so we're the opener right before them. It's usually 4-band set or 4-band bill, and then we're like direct support. So we play right before them and do like a 45 to an hour set, and I'm playing like 25 cities in like 30 days, and we're all over the place. I'm ending up in, I think my last show with them is going to be in Boston, I think, and then I'm heading back for refit in Omaha for a little bit. And I'm going back out to Baltimore and doing the M3 festival, stuff like that. Just to have fun.
So they can find you on social media, right?
Yeah, Midnight Devils on Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, all that.
Yeah, gotcha. Scott, so...
And if you guys would send me your Facebook me, messenger me your t-shirt size and your address, I can get you some swag for free. We got these new Arnold Schwarzenegger looking Midnight Devil shirts that are pretty cool.
Oh, awesome, man.
Here's a question I've got, though. The question I have is, where do I get that hair?
I grow it myself, I don't think I've shaved once. I use a beard trimmer. I don't shave anymore. I don't shine my boots. I just don't. I miss you guys. I miss the fun times. I don't miss being yelled at by idiots, and I don't miss I don't miss my sideburns are too long, or that and the China boot shit. But I do miss you guys for sure.
Oh, hey Mo,
know.
I've got a question for you, man. That show on TV, the guy with the pointy ears. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't. What's is that? Is that the Trexter in the group we're talking about right there?
Do you remember doing that?
Didn't Scott buy like $500 worth of Star Trek DVDs or something?
Hey, it was a long deployment, man.
I just remember Mo would ask the question, "Hey, who's that one character, or whatever?" And then Scott would say who it was, and he would just scream, "Nerd alert! Nerd alert!" because we were and probably still are children. So
yeah, because I actually did that nerd alert thing the other day. So
I am so proud of you right now, Bubba. You don't even know.
we are still children. So Scott, man, so you're at Machine Gun Vegas, right?
Yep. Just another tourist gun range. Out in Las Vegas, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So they can come find you there and shoot some machine guns in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Facebook, although I despise social media, so I'm on there very little as possible. Easiest way to get a hold of me is probably email. Just if anybody has any questions about anything, starting over, trying to figure out pointers on military transition, anything like that, you could always just reach out to me at scott@mgvegas.com.
Yeah, man. So David, the soon-to-be pilot, right, or whatever. Let's find you in Orlando, right?
Yeah, I'm in Kissimmee. We're right outside of Disney's front gate there. Machine Gun of America. Same thing. It's a tourist machine gun place. We get a lot of families, things like that, in there where we do nothing but machine guns. So you can get me there, Facebook or anything like that, or you just send me an email, dave@machinegunamerica.com.
Gotcha, man. And that's probably mostly for people that know us or whatever. They can get back in touch, or if people want to come shoot machine guns, man, go check them out, because obviously I trust them with their guns. So, guys, sincerely, man, I appreciate everybody's time and taking the time to get on here. It was awesome, dude. When I get rich, I'll just fly everybody to some crazy location and we'll do it live. Yeah, we've definitely got to, man. It was a pleasure to have served with you all. It was a pleasure to talk with you tonight, and I appreciate it, fellas. And we'll do it again sometime, hopefully in person.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, great seeing you all.
You just got to think, how long has it been since the four of us been in one conversation together?
2005, 2004.
Really, gotta be like 2000 and early. When did you go to Fort Irwin?
2004. As soon as we got back from Iraq.
Yeah, so it's got to been then.
Yeah.
Is that the re-enlistment ceremony by the plane? Was that you, Brian?
You know what? I don't remember. I don't think I re-upped in Afghanistan.
No, it was at Fort Bragg by the plane. Was that you? Who was that?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Because I remember yelling, I'm like, "Don't do it! Don't do it!"
I think it's mine. I just don't remember if it was.
That part sounds familiar.
Too, but I just don't remember.
That part sounds familiar, but I don't remember any ramp side re-enlistment.
I don't remember either.
You might have still been on your sleepy pill or something. I don't know.
It may have been. It may have been DP, my old roommate, that did that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that was probably it. Yeah.
Maybe it was.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, again, I appreciate y'all coming on. Y'all know that we've kept in touch over the years, obviously, and y'all can always reach out to me if you ever need anything at all. So, man, I look forward. We'll be in touch, guys. Appreciate you.
I love you, brother.
Yeah. Take it easy, man.
Later.
All right, man.
Yeah.